Yay. So welcome to the accountability call for Monday, June 13th. I'm not wishing my life away here. Tonight we are going to be, or today, we are going to be talking about the 5 different kinds of hunger. So sometimes maybe you've heard about me talk about, or heard me talk about this before, but I feel like sometimes it's good to hear things more than one time because we can let different pieces of it sink in, and what was relevant at one point might be something else might be completely relevant at this point. So one of the things that I have really delved into when I was getting my degree in nutrition was intuitive eating. And so intuitive eating, if you are not familiar with intuitive eating, speaks very highly about not measuring and not hyper tracking and not, all of that. And while I think it's got some lovely qualities to it, I feel like for people that have struggled with their weight and people that really have food issues, myself completely throwing myself in that basket, there's some gaps in intuitive eating. But the thing that I think intuitive eating has spot on that I feel like we need to really dive into, and what we're going to be talking about tonight, is becoming acutely aware of your actual hunger systems. Because a lot of times, especially if you're anything like me, and you have kind of desensitized yourself to your hunger cues through long-term dieting, maybe not eating for certain periods of time, if you've ever struggled with disordered eating, a lot of times we kind of screw up our hunger cues. And it's really important that we learn to tune into those. And that's where I feel like intuitive eating really hits the nail on the head, like really diving into, hold on, let me stop. Am I actually hungry? And so we're going to kind of go through a couple of different types of hunger. There are 5 primary types of hunger that I want to talk about today. And so the first one is physical hunger. So a lot of times I'll put that one at the end, but today I want to talk about it first, like right off the bat, because I think that that's the one we need to be paying the most attention to. Physical hunger is when your body is physically hungry. It's not just time to eat. We're going to talk about the different ones in just a minute, but you have drank some water. It is a natural meal time where your body will have digested what you've already eaten, and you are physically hungry. Please attend to physical hunger. Your body needs energy. Food equals energy. You must eat to live. It is very, very important that you fuel your body well. So please respond to physical hunger cues. And we're going to kind of come back to it at the end, because I want you to make sure that you're running through kind of a checklist when you do feel hunger, or you do feel hungry, or you find yourself standing in front of the pantry staring at it, or opening up the fridge and you're like, I don't know, what do I want to eat, kind of thing. One of the characteristics of physical hunger, and this is kind of the litmus test I put myself through, is I drank water. First and foremost, if I find myself standing in front of the fridge, I will usually shut the fridge, and I will go and drink, some of my water out of my water bottle. And then I ask myself, can I grab some carrots? And if my answer is yes, or can I grab an apple? If my answer is yes, I am probably physically hungry. If my answer is, I don't know, carrots don't really sound good to me right now, probably not physically hungry, friends. There's probably another sense going on there. So that's kind of and that doesn't mean I'm going to eat carrots, but if I will accept a carrot, and this is actually for those of you with children who are working with your children to learn how to eat and fuel their bodies well, it's a really good litmus test for kids too. Eating constantly, especially in the summertime, Rom. I'm hungry. All right, I have carrots. I don't want carrots. Girlfriend, you're not hungry. You're bored. You're tired. You are not hungry, because if you are hungry, you will eat a carrot. And so that's kind of my litmus test. And I'm trying to teach her in a new way, do better, learn better, grow better, right? Like we are learning, and we want to pass that on to our children. So that's something that I'm trying to teach her too, is to listen to her body and to really make good, wise choices with her food, because I want her to do better than I did, So physical hunger is number 1. Number 2, we're going to just like address the elephant in the room, emotional hunger. I'm bored. I'm sad. Amy, what we were talking about with, grandma, I'm sad. I'm lonely. That's a big one for me as a military spouse. My husband is frequently gone. I'm lonely. I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm stressed. I am, let's see, I'm happy. I feel celebratory. I'm so excited. Let's go out for ice cream, you know? Those are all emotional hunger triggers. And so while if emotional hunger and physical hunger exist in the same space, you might not make the best choices, but you are fueling your body because you are physically hungry. What I want to address is the emotional hunger that isn't accompanied with physical hunger, right? Like the emotional hunger where you just find yourself, it's 8:30. I've put the kids down for bed. I'm decompressing. It's been a stressful day and my husband's not home. And those cookies, they look really good. Emotional hunger, and this is again another one of those, like, I just call them like flag on the play kind of things. Almost always it's sugar. Almost always it's carbs. You're not emotionally eating carrots, okay? Like you're not emotionally grabbing the watermelon. Most of the time, you are emotionally grabbing a pack of cookies. You're emotionally grabbing a margarita. You're emotionally grabbing the things that are not benefiting you. And so I feel like the thing that needs to be addressed there is number one, consciousness, right? Like get really in tune with yourself. Like say, self, Danielle, am I tired? Like, oh, we'll talk about tired in a second. Am I bored? Like, are my hands idle? Am I just bored? Am I stressed? Am I like get and name it? Like I'm not a big fan of name it to claim it, but name those emotions and claim them, right? So what is the emotion that I'm feeling? Start becoming emotionally intelligent because that's going to help you identify some triggers and patterns. So be sure that you are naming your actual emotion and deal with the emotion, because eating cookies is not going to make you less sad. It's not going to make you less stressed. It's not going to make you less mad. It's not going to make you miss grandma less. It's not going to make you miss your husband less. Deal with the actual emotion. If I am lonely, I call a friend. I text a friend. If I am sad, maybe I journal a little bit. Maybe I deal with the fact that I'm sad and I talk through that with a person. Like, yeah, I'm actually really, really sad about this situation. Am I stressed? What will actually alleviate the stress? Like sit down and write it down. Like, if I'm stressed about work, you know what alleviates a lot of stress? Actually doing the work. Because Danielle likes to find lots of other things to do that often include food that aren't actually doing the work that I need to do. Maybe it's taking a walk, getting out and away from the food triggers, so deal with the emotion in a way that is appropriate for that emotion. That's really going to change the dynamic in that moment. And then if you're physically hungry, again, I run it through the litmus test. Grab some water, grab some, some carrots, an apple, something like that. Whole food based items, first, not only, but first, because a lot of times that'll take care of it. So we have physical hunger, emotional hunger. The next one we're going to talk about is sensory hunger. So sensory hunger is you walk by Subway and you smell the bread, right? Like we have all been there and you're like, oh my gosh, that bread smells so good. I am hungry. You are not, girlfriend. You just ate at the restaurant down the street. You are not hungry. Like, and I tell my kids that all the time. They'll walk in and they're like, oh man, I'm so hungry, because they smelled something, right? Like that's why realtors put warm cookies in a house so that it smells and you're hungry and you want a cookie, and now it's sugar and the brain chemicals are flowing and now I have to have this house, right? It's a marketing ploy. Well, so is it for when you walk by Annie's Pretzels in the mall. You don't really need a pretzel. You're not really hungry. You just smell a pretzel and it smells really good. So that's smelling, right? Our other senses are sight. You walk into a place and you see a bowl of chips. Or here's the thing that I encounter a lot, especially working with people who work outside the home. They walk in and the girl at the reception desk has a bowl of candy. You were not hungry, but you saw her candy and now you must grab a piece of candy, right? Like you didn't need that candy. So that's the kind of thing where I would encourage you. And Alana, if you watch any of the 2D mindset videos, she has a great tip about this, but she talks about keeping two hands on the wheel. If you carry a water bottle with you at all times, the easiest thing to do is keep two hands on the wheel. The wheel is the water bottle. If I had my water bottle up here, I would grab it, but grab your water bottle, drink, and walk on by. Like you are not hungry. Assess the hunger. And then if you are hungry, you can eat. But if you're just hungry because somebody or you heard popcorn popping in the company microwave, right? Or you saw somebody's candy dish, or you smelled somebody else's lunch. Or maybe your kid gave you a bite of something that they made. You were not hungry. You were sticking to your plan, but she was so sweet. And she made these cookies and I took a bite because I'm just being polite, Danielle. And all of a sudden, 5 cookies later, you're feeling bad that you ate all the cookies, right? Like 2 hands on the wheel and walk on by. So that's physical hunger, emotional hunger, sensory hunger. We're going to talk about tiredness. So it is a scientific fact that if you are not getting adequate sleep, you are throwing off your hunger triggers, right? So you are not it's like you're kind of operating on less than a full battery power. Like if you have your phone, right? Like it's got a full 100% battery. Well, if you are not attending to your sleep needs, you automatically wake up with 70% of battery, or sometimes 60% of battery, or if you got a small baby, sometimes 30% of a battery. And because food is fuel, carbohydrates are energy, and you are energy depleted, guess what your body is going to scream for? Carbs, 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 sugar, 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 because you're tired and your body wants to attend to its most immediate need, which is your tiredness. So that's why that afternoon sugar low, right? You're like, your blood sugar has dipped, you're tired, you need something to keep going, you fuel yourself with junky carbohydrates that you don't need. So how can we deal with this? Well, obviously we're going to address the root cause, right? Not just the symptoms, because we're about fixing the root, right? Sleep. And I know that's hard. Set yourself a bedtime timer and go to bed. You don't need to watch another episode of Ted Lasso. Danielle last night at 10:30, who was like, I can watch one more. It's fine. So at 10:35, I'm like walking to the fridge and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Because I'm tired and I should have just gone to sleep. If you can attend to the root cause, a lot of times the rest of it will take care of itself. But sometimes we're in a life situation where, guys, we just can't. Like I meet people that their babies, or sleep schedules are all off, or they're traveling and they're jet lagged and all the things. Like sometimes you just can't attend to the root cause. So treat the symptom. Eat, but don't eat junk. Don't eat low on the totem pole, right? Like if your body is feeling like it needs energy, have a piece of fruit. Fruit and cookies both have sugar in them, but your body processes this one a whole lot differently than it processes this one. So choose a fruit, choose a whole grain, choose something that is on the whole food end of the spectrum so that you can attend to the other stuff, right? Okay, so we have addressed, let's see, physical hunger, emotional hunger, sensory hunger. What did we just talk about? Literally, Danielle, what are you doing? I need my bottle of water. Totally had a brain fart. The one we just talked about, whatever it was. Now I'm losing my mind. The last one I want to talk about is time hunger. So, and it's kind of a weird one because I feel like people are like, what in the world? But tell me it is not true. How many people had a grandpa who was like, Nana, it's noon. Where's my lunch? It don't matter if he's hungry. It's noon. It's time to eat lunch. It's 8 a.m. It's time to eat breakfast. It's 5:30 p.m. It's time to eat snack, or it's time to snack. It's time to eat dinner. It's 9:15 p.m. It's time to eat a snack, right? No? But you will find that your body rhythms, we work, there's circadian rhythms and there's all different kinds of rhythms with the sun and all of that. And our body responds to that. We can train that. And so one of the fascinating things to me about nutrition is how people can train their body to feel hungry at specific times of day. You can experiment with it, right? Like not in a good way. But if you were to eat a snack at 10:30 a.m. every single day, and then the next week you go and at 10:30 a.m., whether you're thinking about it or not, you could Disneyland, doesn't matter. You can take yourself completely out of the environment. Put yourself at Disneyland and guess what's going to happen at 10:30 a.m. in your body? You're going to feel a pang of hunger. So there's nothing wrong with eating on a time schedule. And that's kind of the thing I want to address about this. There's absolutely nothing wrong about that. I actually think it's incredibly helpful for you to train your body, especially if you've kind of messed up your hunger cues. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not hungry in the morning. Well, Okay. All that tells me is that you have skipped breakfast for a number of years. It does not mean your body does not need to be nourished at that time of day. So you have to retrain it. And so sometimes we have to retrain it in the good way. I hate using good and bad, but like in the good, helpful way. And sometimes we need to train out the bad habits, that the habits that are not serving us. So the 9:15 at night, when you go stand in front of the pantry for no reason whatsoever, every single night, right? Like you're like, I'm hungry. And you look at your watch and it's 9:15. Like you do not need to eat dinner. You need to retrain that time frame out. So some of the things, especially if you struggle with nighttime snacking, that I have found very, very helpful is hot tea or sparkling water if you don't want something hot in the evening. Decaffeinated hot tea is a great thing. I like that as a ritual because it's not just filling a need, right? It's actually filling the need of a ritual. So most of the time, an evening snack is not really about the nourishment that the snack provides. It's really about a decompression ritual or you've ritualized something in that. And it's not just about what it is. It's not the cookie or the piece of ice cream or the, one more chicken thigh in the fridge. It's not about the actual snack. It's about the ritual of the snack, kind of like smoking a cigarette, right? Like people that have struggled with smoking addictions or whatever, most of the time, it's not even the nicotine that they have the problem with. It's the ritual of the nicotine. So it's I ate my dinner. Now it's time to go smoke my cigarette. Kind of the same thing with eating habits, right? Like, oh, it's 9:15. Now it's time to have an evening snack. So replacing that with something that actually takes a little preparation, like hot tea or we have a soda stream. So like my sparkling water is like an actual ritual where I have to fill the cup up and put it in the thing and pour the flavoring in it and screw it up and do the thing. Like it's not just about going and grabbing and sitting and doing mindless snacking, right? It's about like an actual order of events. You'll find that you can retrain those things out of you very quickly. And this is one of the things that I will say I go back to with my, like non-encouragement of the eating philosophy of intuitive nutrition or intuitive eating, because again, intuitive eating is great if you have not out-trained hunger cues. But a lot of people think, well, I'm not hungry. That means my body doesn't need nourishment. That is not true. That is not true at all, because there are people then that would literally not eat because they've messed up their hunger cues so bad with disordered eating that their brain is not capable of seeing the nutrient deficient link. And so sometimes we do have to say, okay, well, it's 7:30, I'm going to have my Shakeology. It's, 12 o'clock or it's 12:30, I'm going to have my lunch, even though I don't feel hungry. Your body still likely needs nourishment, because what ends up happening, especially for people who have disordered eating history or like a long history of chronic dieting, what ends up happening is you're like, well, I'm not hungry for breakfast, so I'll just skip breakfast. Oh, I was just a tiny bit hungry at lunch, so I'll just have, some crackers. My mom, crackers and Diet Coke, right? Like with nabs and tabs is what she called it. She had a diet tab and a pack of nabs was what she told me. Like, Lord, Linda, bless her heart. But by dinner time, guess what? Her body is like, girl, you better give me some food. And so then she has no self-control at dinner, and she's eating later and later and later and later and later. Like, it starts at 5:30 with dinner, and then she's still hungry, so she's eating at 7. That's because she didn't eat all freaking day. Her body is starved for nutrients. So sometimes you do have to kind of put in some timed eating so that you can keep your blood sugars stable so that you're not screwing yourself up in the evening. But so quick review, 5 types of hunger. We have physical hunger, which you need to attend to. So run through that. And this is what I was going to say. We're going to kind of like come full circle here. When you feel the pang of hunger, right? You want to run through that, like grab your water, 2 hands on the wheel, and then run through. Am I actually hungry? Or is this like, when was the last time that I ate? No, well, I literally just ate 20 minutes ago. Maybe I'm not actually hungry. Or maybe you are, I don't know. Like, do carrots sound good? Yeah, I could eat some baby carrots. Great. Go eat carrots. You probably did not eat enough at that meal, right? But run through the cues. Like, am I responding to stress? Is it like, for me, and this is maybe not relevant for some of you, but like I go pick up my kids from school at It's like 2:20 is the pickup. Well, they get in the car, they haven't seen each other all day, and they're like, the whole car ride, they just nip at each other. So by the time we get home, I'm frustrated because I had a whole day of non-nipping and now they're nipping at each other like crazy. And then I get out of the car and I'm like, I got to find a snack. Am I really hungry? Or am I emotionally exhausted from what I just experienced on the 15-minute ride from the school? Like, take a minute, Danielle. Take a walk, grab a bottle of water, and we'll rediscuss actual hunger in a moment. You know, that's the thing. Like, I feel one of the things that I like to talk about when I talk about the types of hunger is most people feel like they need to immediately respond, right? Most of the time, unless you literally are starving, you don't need to immediately respond to your hunger. Give yourself a minute, take a pause. And I'm not vilifying eating. Like, please, for the love of God, eat your food, right? Like, your body needs food to eat. But most of the time, we don't need what we think we need in that moment. So take a breath, take a pause, drink a sip of water, give yourself a moment to emotionally reflect on what's going on around you before you respond. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, I'm hungry. I got to get a snack right now. And they like run downstairs and they grab a snack from the pantry. You did not make a good choice. Like, I guarantee it. It is few and far between that somebody, like, when they're immediately responsive to hunger cues, that they make a good choice. So build in some like kind of foolproof things, doing what Cynthia's doing right now, meal prepping, so that the things that you have grab and go are on plan, in line with your goal kind of things. Put fruits and vegetables in clear containers so that your visual cues are right there. Put the crap food, the things that are filled with sugar and junk, as far away from you in the pantry as possible. Get rid of them if you need to, but get them out of sight, right? Because the thing that you're going to see is the thing that you're probably going to grab first. So make the things that are in line with your goals the absolute most accessible things around you. And I think I've shared this with you guys before, maybe it was another call. But one of the things that I do is, yeah, we talked about last week. I make like a veggie tray every week, right? Like, I just have a clear container that's like a big veggie tray, and I cut up a bunch of veggies, and that's sitting like eye level in the fridge. Because when I get snacky and I open up the fridge, and if the first thing I see is leftover cake, guess what I'm gonna grab? Leftover cake. If the first thing I see is a veggie tray, I'm more likely to grab the veggie tray than I am to dig through all the junk to get to the things that aren't serving my body. So, all right, you guys, that is our content. I'm gonna stop. No, I did record. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't record. Okay, I did.